get out of the money. So imagine if you have around 40% of your investment that is looked by bots or is going to places that you are not supporting in terms of the content. Those players are now to realize on how to invest differently. In our case, in that particular study, we cannot mention where we were positioning, but the range was between 2 and 37, and we were around the 7. So that's why I believe that I think it's important to really go into detail on how you're doing your programmatic media buying in order to secure that you are addressing the right target, and you have as well the right viewability standards and so on. I think that there is a lot of raising awareness of digital. It's not just something that you just drop money and everything is done perfectly. I think that there's a lot of work that advertising agencies need to work together to understand what we are buying.
Yeah, part of this, and I've heard a lot about that. Frankly, part of it comes from the TV industry because they want to obviously tout TV over digital. 2016 was an interesting year because the prior year a number of the advertisers got caught between the upfront and the scatter, and scatter was very pricey, if you will. So in response to the scatter and people being caught with having to pay inflated dollars because they didn't participate in the upfront. This year, people chose to participate more in the upfront than in the scatter. And as a result of that, Les Moonves went out and said TV is back. Yeah. All right? So that's where that came from. The reality is when you look at the overall spend, TV is still important, but it's not as back as the numbers might indicate, because of the disparity between the upfront and the scatter. Of course, Luis isn't going to give away their tactical strategy in terms of the upfront versus the scatter, but that goes into those determinations. But yeah, I mean, the question of transparency, reliability, all of this goes into the decision as to where you place that money. And the Facebook issue, for example, if you start questioning the reliability of the digital buy, then people are going to go to something that they're more comfortable with, which is TV, which is why this whole issue of transparency is so critical, because we want to get that right. And measurement is the other part of it. If TV measurement gets to be where it's as good, if you will, on the digital side, then we have something really apples to apples to compare in terms of the effectiveness and the ROI. So there's a lot of more work to be done here.
There is also a piece of work that we are doing in the Mobile Marketing Association that is this multi-touch attribution. So basically, who gets the credit of the purchase? So of course, you can say, okay, I build all the awareness, I have done all of this campaign, but then the transaction happened on that platform, and that is the one that say, no, I have the highest ROI. And I think that there is a lot of education in the industry as well, just to understand that there are multi-touch attribution, there are different players that have different weighting, and we have done a piece of work with them just to bring that to the industry. But I think that that's another key topic on how do we allocate dollars, and how, if we don't have independent third-party verification, we can fall into the trap of, here it is that I am the one accountable for this, or here is I have completion views, and at the end of the day, it's only a couple of seconds that people are watching our videos.
So that was Louis DiComo, the SVP of Global Media at Unilever, alongside the CEO of IPG, that's Interpublic. That was Michael Roth right there with some really awesome insights on the advertising research industry. We'll be talking about more of those on the tech portion today at Pop Song Tech, right on the other side of an awesome interview with Jae Jin. So I am so excited today to welcome to Pop Song Tech Jae Jin, and we're going to be talking today about his album from 2015, or 2015, excuse me. The album is called Kairos. We're going to be talking about some of his upcoming music as well. Jay, thanks so much for joining us here at Pop Song Tech today. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you so much for having me.
You got it. You got it. So I'm just so excited today because independent global recording artist, singer, songwriter, actor, guy was on his way to an MD, an MBA. The man is a very talented, a multi-talented individual. And I'd love to hear how, through this whole process, you came to find music and what motivated you to put together the Kairos album.
Yeah. I definitely say that for the longest time I've been writing, and then really kind of transitioning that towards songwriting over the past few years when I decided to kind of take on this musical journey. I've only been doing this professionally for about 2 years now. And really the album was kind of birthed out of the songwriting I've done up to this point in my life. And some songs have taken the shortest song took 20 minutes to write, and the longest one took 6 years. And so it's really kind of just a conglomeration. And I took about 25 songs to the West Coast to record and narrow it down to 12. And eventually 10 made it on to my full-length debut album. And yeah, it's been amazing, you know, because I'm constantly writing. I'm writing every day. And so, you know, at times you look back at the first album and you're kind of like, oh, this seems like it was something I did back in my childhood. But
yeah, that's got to be so weird. It seems like, and you've done acting, you've done music, and all of the art that goes into these things gets recorded into this place, whether that's on video or on audio, and it's just kind of there as a snapshot in time. And when you go back to look at it, while everybody is just experiencing it for the first time now, it's something that you experienced like a year ago or 2 years ago.
Right.
That's got to be such a dynamic, just emotional feeling.
It is, and it's really great. I definitely am grateful for that, and I kind of go through these kind of moments where you realize that at times you want to be really, really picky about what you put out into the world and all that. But then there's other moments where I'm realizing, hey, the whole life is short thing has been a big common denominator in my life and a lot of the things that I'm trying to do. And now I'm at a place where I kind of want to just put anything and everything out, and so even if it means I got to do it myself, you don't always have to go into a fancy studio and put things out. For me, a lot of the fan base that's really kind of grown organically, they mean the world to me. Like they come out to every show in a particular area, and it's things like that really kind of pushes me to say, hey, you know what, I don't need to focus on creating the music necessarily for them or try to guess what they're expecting. It's rather just kind of doing the best you can to create and hope that people connect with it in different ways according to their lived experience. Yeah,
and it's not that you're just somebody that's sitting there and just putting these things out and it's not getting attention. I mean, the big players are very aware of you and your art. You had a couple really kind of breakthrough moments there a couple years ago. One with, I believe it was a viral video or a video that you had put together that just kind of took off, went viral, over 1 million views of this thing. And the second was your opportunity there to star as a principal actor or as an actor there on Netflix's show House of Cards. So those were kind of two things that seemed to kind of be nice launching points for you. I'd love to hear about those two experiences.
Yeah. The first one, it definitely blindsided me. I think about a few years ago, I think a little over 2 years ago, I had put up 2 videos on my YouTube, and I'm not a YouTube artist, or a YouTube cover artist or whatever you want to call those folks. And, I just have never had the time or the resources to put together really nice, lavish videos and put the audio ahead of time and all that stuff. And so it was just simplicity. I put up 2 videos, and the second video was a very no frills cover of an old school soul song by an artist named Sam Cooke in the 50s and 60s. And even the video itself, I mean, it looked like it was filmed on a really, really crappy camera phone. And even in the beginning, my buddy's like, okay, ready, go.
Yeah, it's and, like, and they just, it's two of you. It's just you guys hanging out in an auditorium, just 2 guys just kind of hanging out. You sitting on a stool and him sitting there with a guitar.
Yeah. And it was, and then our third buddy who was just filming it all, and he was just like, hey, you guys should just do this song and, do a song that you guys like. And we literally got kicked out of that auditorium, like, after our second take. And so by that point I was like, man, I don't know if this is like a great take, but whatever. Okay. And like, he was like, just put it up. And I was like, all right. And I had no idea how to edit video or anything. So even in the beginning where he's like, okay, ready, go. Like, I couldn't edit any of that out. So I just threw it up on there. And then, like, lo and behold, like within that week, I don't know how it ended up on there, but it ended up on a website called World Star Hip Hop. And it's like kind of this urban culture website that gets millions and millions of views a day.
Jeez.
And in the span of 3 days, it reached millions of views. I was getting reached out to by labels, TV shows, celebrities, and folks, and it was just a whirlwind. I actually ended up taking a bunch of meetings everywhere from New York to LA, and people wanting to sign and do all these things. And thankfully, at that time, I had a buddy who was an entertainment lawyer, and he looked over contracts, and he was just like, "Man, none of these are good. Here's kind of what they're saying." And
sell
for me
your
at that
soul.
point, it was just kind of yeah. And it was one of those things where I was just like, okay, you know what? I'm going to work my butt off and get to a place where I will have some sense of clout to be able to ask for the contract that I would like. And that's really kind of what I'm working towards. Not towards getting a contract, but working towards creating my art and actually getting better. Even like a guitar, like I knew how to strum a few chords, but I've really started teaching myself guitar for about 2 years now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm now doing all my shows on guitar. And that's the kind of thing where you just say, all right, look, I'm going to put my all into this and hope that good things happen. And you don't compare. You don't try to look at what other people are doing. You don't worry about other artists or other successes or other failures. You just do it. You just plan and try to become a better person and a better musician and a better artist day by day. And you look back like a week later or a month later or a year later, and you're like, man, I've really come a long way. And
yeah.
So that's really kind of how that story really did push me. It gave me an opportunity to just try, and see something that I didn't believe that I could do.
That's awesome.
And then the second thing was just the House of Cards thing was just a very
cool.
happenstance. Yeah, happenstance thing. Did not expect it, and it was above and beyond even my expectations. What initially was supposed to be a background, like a background actor gig where I'm just strumming a guitar. They were able to hear me sing, and they ended up bringing me on as a principal actor.
Yeah, they're like, who's that
fully
guy?
credited, and and it was unreal. And from that, really, that serendipitous happening really just kind of launched my interest in trying acting. For the longest time, I've always appreciated really good actors. I mean, I've seen certain folks, especially a lot of the folks that are doing method acting, that greats from Robert De Niro to Dustin Hoffman to even some of these folks nowadays that like Tom Hardy, Christian Bale. A lot of these guys are just they move me so much. And I was kind of like, man, let's give this a go and see what would happen. And I auditioned for my first lead role this year and ended up, I kept getting called back and then eventually won it. And I ended up filming this summer. And that was on day one. I was just like, man, I am just on fire. Like, this is like, it's kind of like the music moment where you're just like, I need to do this. Like, while I'm living and breathing, I need to do this. And I felt that with music in the first, few months of doing the journey, and I felt that with this first film. And so, it doesn't make any sense, and that's the beauty of it. I didn't grow up, learning acting or doing drama, whatever. Like, it's just one of those things where I'm like, all I know is I have these life experiences that have really given way to this perfect timing for all of this to occur. And I'm going to just run with it. I'm going to put my all into it and see what happens,
That's awesome. So I wonder if you can tell us how our listeners can support your music. The Kairos album is out. I know I downloaded it on iTunes, but where can listeners go to support your art on the musical side or on the video side or on the acting side? Where can people learn more about your background?
Yeah, I appreciate that. Really nowadays what I've learned is that even financially, I mean, it's hard. You can't really make music or make money off music these days. But for me, that's not the important thing. The important thing is just to listen. So if they have time, and to be honest, you can listen through all 10 tracks in under 30 minutes. And I did that very strategically because we live in that type of world.
Yeah.
And that stems across 6 different genres. I mean, you go from start to finish in this album. You're going to start off with Americana, blues stomping blues, and then go to pop, to singer-songwriter, to R&B, to pop rock, to jazz. You're going to see all of that. And for me, it stems from all the different musical influences that I have. So they can just listening. And you can actually find the album anywhere that music is found. I think there's over 58 different places, including iTunes, Google Play, all of that. But more importantly than that, it's really just joining into the journey. If they feel like the journey's been interesting, I think one of the most rewarding aspects has been seeing people organically following along in this journey from only 2 years ago. And these folks, they're so supportive. And so just the social media, I actually schedule and set aside 2 to 3 hours every week to respond to all the